Thank you for listening and welcome to the Life Radio Show, a once proud member of the now defunct Eventide Entertainment Podcast Network. I'm your host, Don Smith. We are recording this week at Wiley's Comedy Club with Erica Russell as guest co-host. The brilliantly funny Rena Calm is in with us to talk about comedy and puns. If you enjoy the show, like and follow the Life 1069 on Facebook and Don Smith Comedy on Twitter, or tune in live on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM, or you can stream the show live at wwsu1069.org.
The brutal presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
All right, welcome back to the Life Radio Show. We made it. We survived the fake break that we took here on the air because we're not on the air. We're still at Wiley's. We're not live on WWSU. We're still dead in the comedy club. I'm your host, Don Smith. My guest co-host is still the lovely Erica Russell.
Hey, gang. Erica Russell, comedian here.
And our next guest is in, Rena Calm.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's great. It's good to be back on the program. Last time I did your show it's the same show. It's the Life Radio.
Yes, yeah.
It was just, I've missed some things, I think.
Well, my show this coming week is being bumped for a college sports program.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they're bumping the good show so that college sports that nobody cares about can air.
It's just nice to remember as a comedian that even when you work really hard and get to a level where people are actually wanting to listen to your stuff, that you're not as important as even the least important sports.
Sport ball.
Exactly.
I love all kinds
ball,
of sport ball.
I don't even know what
the
what
kind
the
where they
game
kick,
is,
the kind where they throw.
Yeah, I've been bumped for soccer. I've been bumped for basketball. They're just whatever they have over there that nobody cares about, they'll bump my show for it.
You can
I've
tell
been
somebody
bumped for bull riding.
Somebody really hates comedy when they're like, we've got a tennis.
Yeah. Oh, we got to put that up there. Our college tennis fans have to have this.
Yeah.
We have women's lacrosse this week, so you will not be getting aired on your regularly scheduled time slot.
Yeah. So there you go. We all get bumped.
This weekend we're going to play footage from Planet Fitness. It's not even a good gym. We don't allow competition, but you can watch them eat free pizza every Monday.
Because it's Planet Fitness, so they can't. Yeah, no shame, no shaming.
No judgment, actually.
No judgment,
Unless you
judgment.
love the gym, then they're like, "Get out of here, you lunk." That's
gym rats.
That's Planet Fitness.
Do you guys are you aware of the phenomenon of gym couples?
Ew.
It's the creepiest thing I've ever seen.
Sorry, is that a phenomenon or is that just
It's a thing, man. It's a thing.
I have to change so I can see you guys. Sorry.
I mean, I try to go to the gym a couple times a month at least, but I always see there's these greased up, orange tanned couples who one of them just looks like Bebop or Rocksteady from the Ninja Turtles. It's just the creepiest, most roided out dude you've ever seen.
Oh, not at Planet Fitness.
You're not operating at that level over there?
No, Planet Fitness is for people who don't like the gym. So, you're talking about a real gym couple. I'm visualizing it, greasy.
It's they're just kind of he's always sort of just casually berating her under the guise of coaching,
Encouragement.
They're all just oiled up. It's do you put baby oil on yourself before you come here? Like
orchestrated grunting,
Yes.
take turns. They create
They are trying to call
soundscape.
attention to themselves all day long, and they're just do you just go home and have sex like two people made of rocks? It's just
Yeah, that can't be comfortable.
It's not. I mean, I know that they think they look good, I guess.
I've just never understood the Planet Fitness gym couples that I see. So it's Planet Fitness is a much more hey, it's okay if you don't feel like moving approach. Planet Fitness is kind of a, hey, it just counts that you're here kind of a place. Or hey, it's okay if you just came to tan and want some grape Tootsie Rolls. That is kind of Planet Fitness's vibe. So the gym couples at Planet Fitness they look malnourished sometimes, or you can tell that one of them's hey, come on, you should really get off the couch, to the other. It's not ooh, they're going home to have hot, rocky sex tonight. You're like, oh, they probably just really had to talk. One of them had to talk the other one up for this. And yeah, the thing that weirds me out about gym couples, or I don't understand, I guess, is that it'll be like they'll work out on one machine together. So it'll be like one person works out and the other person's like, okay, 5, 6, 7, great. Then they switch and the other person just stands there, and you can always tell which one's actually invested in helping the other one and which one's kind of like looking around while the other person's like, you're supposed to count for me. And then I just feel like it's kind of stupid because like you're both getting like half as much done because half the time you're standing there waiting for the other person to do their ish. Like,
Yeah.
is that helping?
Yeah, and I don't know about, I mean, I'm a very sort of fair complected person. Like when I work out, I'm not one of these women who look sexy when they sweat. You know, like I turn beet red, sort of like
You look pretty
a Braveheart extra in battle. You know what I mean? It's all red in the face, rosé. It's not an attractive look. Like I would not want to be with my significant other at the gym looking like the way that I end up looking if I'm actually working out. Yeah. It takes like 2 hours for the rosacea to go away after I do any kind of cardiovascular work.
Yeah, anything past stretching should be done in private.
Agreed. Thank
me.
you. Thank you.
And even stretching sometimes, you know. Keep it in your sleeves. That's... I need to get to the gym more. I have really going there mostly to shower lately. But yeah, that's one of the perks of being homeless. Planet Fitness, great showers. Did it get sad?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
That's what we call commitment in the comedy world, my friend. I, for one, think it's very respectable. And maybe you're not homeless. You're
not
just
homeless.
a car dweller.
I got a sweet car. And also, I'm very warm in my car. And the amount that people keep expressing concern, it makes me wonder if they would talk like that to a guy. You know what I mean?
No, they
like,
wouldn't.
They
totally wouldn't.
They wouldn't be like, are you okay? Let me tell you how to. And like, I'm not saying I don't appreciate when nice people offer, but sometimes it just takes it back to that next level of like, I don't know, like I've had guys like offer to like follow me to a place to park, and it's like that doesn't make me feel comfortable at all. At all. You're missing the point, idiot. Like of like there was one time that like this guy was just like, no, sleep on my couch. And I just wanted to get in his face and be like, I'm on my period. And you need to like let me go into the wild. Like, you ever just feel like you need to be feral somewhere?
I've been feral so many places. Yeah.
I think we discussed that earlier about waking up naked in the wilderness.
Oh
yes.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to hear about this.
I lived in the Trails and Motel for a month in Trinidad, Colorado.
Okay.
After I had been, my ex-husband unfortunately was sort of a fisty guy, like in the Lifetime way, not the fun way. And so I had to get away, and I was living in a women's shelter. And it's laughable, the string of bad luck that I had. Like, even when I was trying to be the best possible person, I got kicked out of the women's shelter after 2 weeks because I ordered a pizza for a pregnant woman and these hungry kids, right? But I asked security downstairs. I was like, hey, is it kosher if I order a pizza? You know, because the location is confidential.
Right.
And I said, I just won't leave any identifying information. And the security officer was like, yeah, it's totally fine. So I'm like meeting with the woman, you check in with the staff every night and stuff. And my phone starts ringing. And I'm like, oh, I got to pick up a pizza. And obviously, if I thought I had done anything wrong, I wouldn't have told her this. And she goes, you ordered a pizza? I was like, yeah, I checked with security. It's, what's her face? I shouldn't say her name. Is pregnant. She's hungry. The kids are crying because, they don't eat from 5 p.m. till 7 the next day. And she's like, you ordered a pizza? That's against policy. I was like, I read the policy. I asked the lady. And so they kicked me out that night.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, this isn't the funny part. But in terms of being a feral person, so I had arranged because I still had some saved up money and like my tax, what do you call that, refund?
Yeah.
I had enough money to like at least get away from there, and I was going to go live at this place called Vallecito Lake in Colorado. I had this whole thing set up. but there were no like U.S. banks out there. So I'm trying to tell this woman I'm going to be a day late. Anyway, I end up at the Trinidad Trails End Motel. I mean, it was like a Quentin Tarantino cinema shoot location. It was just like, it was the Trails End, man.
I feel like there's so many situations when you're telling stories about yourself or just like information about your life where you just have to cover so much of what you just said with it. Anyway, it's like,
anyway, things went real
so
bad.
much.
And then, yeah.
Yeah. That's wild. And I mean, like literally wild. You're out in the wild, but in a Quentin Tarantino
But you know what? I wouldn't trade it. I had some of the craziest experiences. I hung out with a former rodeo star named Hawkeye.
Wow.
And he was like, hey, you want to go shedding? I was like, what's shedding? And it's basically like the illegal taking of shed deer antlers from mountainsides to sell essentially on the black market for like $800 a pop.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was really good at it, man. I could spot a shed from the highway. You just like, you drive by and it'd be like, there's one, there's one, there's one. I mean, I never sold it, but
it's also just
So it's
another
shed spotting.
I went fly fishing a lot, man. Caught a lot of rainbow trout.
Well, that's legit. The shedding, I'm still a little bit stuck on. Just
going
because it
shedding.
seems
That's,
like
that's a new one to me. I've heard some redneck stuff because I am one, but I've never heard of shedding. That's
Yeah,
a
no,
new
I
one.
hadn't either.
that's like a full-time activity just to like. I mean, the whole black market aspect of it is what takes it to another level of like, man, I mean,
Get your black
you're
market
stealing
deer
these,
antlers.
Yeah,
Well,
stealing
they
these
end up-
antlers to sell on the black market. Like you also, somebody stole them from a deer.
No, but it's so in the spring, right? Bucks will shed. That's why it's called shedding.
Yeah.
So in the spring, bucks will shed their old antlers in a natural process. They scrape them up against trees and they fall off. And then they grow a new pair over the next season. So it's not like you're taking
I didn't know
just the
that.
horns from the deer's head. It's just they have shed them. Hence, it's called shedding. And then if you're an opportunistic former rodeo crackhead like Hawkeye, you go to the mountain, collect them, and then like sell them to people in Denver who make very expensive chandeliers out of them for lodges and stuff.
You're such a worldly woman.
I've been around. Been around the block.
Never been shedding.
I've never caught a trout.
You should.
Yeah, we still need to get out fishing. So. Not fly fishing. I've never tried that.
You never done fly
I've
fishing?
never tried fly fishing.
I love it. And I
I'm
love
too
to
lazy.
make my own lures.
Yeah, I'm too lazy. I just stick a worm on a hook, throw it in the water. Something's going to bite it, and I'm good. That's probably why my marriage has failed. I was just lazy with it. Whatever bites it, okay, we're good. Let's go.
I've gone fishing as a kid, but definitely not as. I did have a camping spot recently that I was sick because the whole campground was open, and I look and I'm like, it stinks like fish here, and I'm like, I'm sure that's going to happen. It's a lake, but then I look and they put me directly by like the fish cleaning hut. And I'm like, they're
that's
so
not optimal.
Could we maybe have one of the? Why would you do this? Is this a prank? None of the other spots filled up too. I was like, do you hate me? Like,
Really, there are
why-
a bunch of empty space, and they're like, put this one next
and
to
none of the other ones got rented. So I go up to her and like switch my spot. But in my head, I'm just like, did you just like decided you hate me? Like, because you know this is the spot next to the fishing. Like, come on. Anyway, I think a lot of people don't know what to do with me when I tell them that my car is a camper, including campgrounds. They're like, ew, you're probably lying. Go sleep with the fishes. Like that.
literally sleep with the fishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just a Sicilian message in there.
No.
I'm going to have to edit some of these podcasts.
I just
out.
realized that it's a clean podcast when I saw you
That's
mark,
okay, that's
mark
okay.
the marker. I didn't realize.
We're good. Well, because the podcast itself, I've actually done, non-edited podcasts, but it can
Yeah.
only go out as the podcast. I can't put it over the radio.
Right.
That's the only reason to have to
'Cause it's the
keep
radio.
it clean because
Yeah.
of the radio. which-
Okay, well, I'm really effing sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. As long as I get them marked down and I remember to
I
go
won't do
back and
any
edit
more.
it.
You got
I
some
can-
hardcore ladies with some hardcore mouths on your hands here, Don.
I love it. But that the radio hates it.
Well, I just want
Patrick-
tell your
Patrick,
big radio people that my butt is cashing checks all day because my mouth is busy. Is that clean enough? Is that clean enough?
That's
Really?
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just the words themselves.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
funny. Context. Oh, we
'Cause
should.
we always try to. We had this discussion on the radio the other day, and I could really see my producer's butt start to pucker because I was like, so how many? Because you can say ass, you just cannot follow it with hole.
Sure.
And then
But
I
the
asked
phrase
him,
itself,
Right,
your
and-
butt starts to pucker,
Right.
is much more
Right.
graphic
much
and
more
evocative
graphic,
than
but
dropping
it's
it.
perfect because it's not the words.
Well,
And
I
that's-
don't even want to say the one word that I'm thinking, like in any context nowadays, would be inappropriate. But on my phone, for instance, when I'm texting, it blocks, it changes all the swears. They have stars instead of the letters. You know, you can't talk to text any swears because
I think that's iPhone that does that because my phone suggests it because it knows me.
Oh, okay.
You know, I could start as long if I start something with an F, it's going to fill out the rest. And I was like, oh, there we go.
I have a Google
So,
Pixel, and I don't know. I've never written stuff out with stars in it, but it always
It does it
switches
for you.
it because I do a lot of talk to texting because I'm driving. But one word it did not correct, and I won't say it, even though it might be okay, is another word for cat.
Okay.
Does it start with a P?
It does.
There we
and
go.
Yeah.
I think that is because I think that's probably safe on
Oh,
the
you
air.
know
but I
what?
don't
Donald
know.
Trump saved us from that word being bad.
That's
He
yeah,
saved us
that's
from
true.
so many
He
things.
saved us
Now
from
it's presidential.
Yes. Yes.
You can grab them by the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, we had this discussion. I was trying to figure out with my director or with my producer how many words have to be between those two before it's no longer appropriate. I said, can you end a sentence with one and begin a sentence with the other? And he could not answer. So
Well,
it's
you
like,
can't
okay.
really hear punctuation all the time, so
right,
you
right.
know.
Yeah. Yep. I should get off my ass. Whole Foods closes soon. See, can you say it that way?
I like it. I'm
Because there's
picking up
nothing
what you're putting
technically
down.
in between it, but
Yeah.
it's two separate sentences.
I think it's funny because you get asked to do clean comedy a lot, and it's like that
hate
never
it.
means the same thing.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
No,
It
there's
doesn't.
no standard.
Never means the same thing, and it gets me so in my head because you realize you're not like going through a list of words you can't say. You have to figure out what bothers this person.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
And yeah, oh God, like there's some words that you can't say in a clean show that you can say on TV now.
Yeah.
So that's very confusing.
Yeah, it's all a blur.
And we can't say. It's just funny the idea, and it's just funny that we're trying to like protect anybody from anything anymore because it's like
Right.
they've
It's all
already
there.
heard
It's
it.
the internet.
Walk outside. It's a nightmare,
Yeah.
But yes.
But yeah, we got to protect our ears.
My P's and my Q's.
Right.
Would you talk to Jesus with that phone?
No, I wouldn't. Because
Well, he never answered. I called him so many times.
I think it's so funny when people who are very religious try to talk to you about Jesus or religion as if you just haven't heard about it yet. Like, you just don't know about Jesus.
Have you
I
heard
do.
the good news?
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of it.
Yeah, it's kind of indifferent news,
Yeah.
really. It's
Sorry, I was raised Jewish, so I'm a sinner. Just leaning into it with comedy.
I believe you're one of the chosen ones, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Because it's Sarah Lawrence. I was the only not chosen one. So that
really?
It really flipped the script on me. Yeah, all my friends were Jewish. And I was the cracker shiksa, feeling left out. My friend
I
Zoe had
almost
the
wrote
word
that down.
chosen
I might-
tattooed on her knuckles.
Well, that's funny.
Really?
Yeah, she was awesome.
Oh, well.
That's
Tattooed on
funny.
her knuckles.
Yep.
That's-
She was hardcore. Zoe had the best clothes I've ever seen. She would wear like Ugg boots, a white patent leather mini skirt, a bedazzled belt that said her name, Zoe, and a T-shirt from Goodwill that said "Go sit on a geyser." I mean, these are the types of fashion choices we were making at Sarah Lawrence circa 2004. It was a
Wow.
magical time.
Lovely.
2004 was the year that I thought when your thong sticks out of the back of your pants, it's a style.
Yep.
and it's
Yep.
on purpose, and get one of those cute thongs with the butterfly emblem on it. Has like a sneaky little butterfly, but it's like then you see pictures of this one time you had a party and you were bent over all the way down to the floor to get CDs, and you just see how much of your thong was sticking out.
Paris Hilton was like kind of spearheading that fashion campaign. It was those really low-rise jeans that like barely made it over the crease between your leg and your hoo-ha.
You know what would be really cool if like Paris Hilton could somehow inspire young girls to be badass business owners who don't take any I won't even finish spelling it from anybody.
Wouldn't we love to see Paris Hilton do a late in life pivot? You know what I mean?
No, she is though. She's a successful business owner now. Like she's an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Well, let's give her a reality show now instead of when she was a vapid idiot.
No, she knows how to market. She knows how to capitalize on that stuff. She's not going to share her secrets of actually succeeding with women. She wants women
that
to
wouldn't be
try to
helpful.
attain the, under boob.
Less competition.
Yeah. She's not one for under boob. What am I? Can I say under boob?
I think under boob's fine.
Okay. Side boob?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think boobs in general. We can speak about boobs.
Oh,
on
I've
here.
already figured that's the case because
we just can't call them by their other name.
Well, that's
Which
because
is,
standards
again,
and
dumb.
stuff mostly go based on what makes conservative people upset, I think.
Right.
And
That's
conservative
pretty
people
much,
love
yeah.
boobs. It doesn't matter. Everybody loves boobs. You can still go to a nudist beach in the most red state. You know what I mean? There's people love boobs. We're cool with boobs.
I used to have like a simple 3-question test to ascertain if a man was a buttocks dude or a
You can say
boobs
ass.
dude.
Yeah.
You could say ass, but
Right?
Right.
But
You
like
know
the
what?
first
There's-
question is are you Christian? Because the Christian boys always boobs dudes. They just are. I don't know if it's like a lady thing. I don't know if it's like a mother issue. It just 9 times out of 10 it was accurate, man.
How many of you surveyed? Because it's to
This
gather
was during
your data.
law
It's-
school. I had a pretty sizable,
Okay.
probably 50 guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, a fairly good chunk of
Yeah.
of the law school population anyway. So
This is what I did during law school instead of study law. I also
Well,
learned
it's
how to read
much better
astrological charts and tarot.
now can you say ass then trological?
as long as as long as you don't say whole trilogical right afterward, you're fine. Or whole certain.
Yeah, I dropped out of law school halfway through. That was probably for the best.
Sorry, much like an ass, I wanted to just let that sit.
Hey, where's the rim shot? We got a drum kit in here? Come on.
I don't know if you can say rim
I don't
shot.
think. I was going to say I don't think you can say rim shot. When
Walked
you're talking
right
about
into
ass,
that
we're
one.
really
walked right into it.
too much fun. All right, where were we?
I don't know, Don. You're running this thing.
Yeah.
I'm just figure I'll sit back and let you two guys talk. You're funnier than I am anyway. So I'll just sit here.
So the topic is life. Is that the show's topic? Life?
I don't even know. I lost the show's topic like 5 years ago when I started. So been doing this for 5 years. Sorry, I had a moment. We should probably go ahead and take a break
Because Don doesn't know where to go next.
because I don't know where to go next.
Well, I could talk about college football.
Nope, it is about time to take a break. We'll come back here shortly, and we'll hit some news stories and whatever the hell else comes up. So we'll be back. Stick around.
And I want to look them straight in the eye, and I want to tell them what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
desire to fight it anymore. Another shot of whiskey, my defenses hit the floor. I'll take me some time, think through my thoughts. Had 3 too many. I'll take one more shot. These fade from green into gentle gold. Season begins and another comes to close. Well, I've spent the last 20 on comfort and ease. Hell, if I'm honest, it hasn't brought any peace. Well, I'm looking for freedom, searching for release. I'm looking for hope that can't be stripped from me. I'll find it at the bottom of this dream. Oh, I'm down on my knees, praying. Got my visions, what I think is best, and I've got my vices, and right now I'm desperate for a cigarette, and I've got desire deep in my bones. It's never quenched, no matter who I take home. Oh, I'm looking for freedom, searching for release. I'm looking for hope that can't be stripped from me. Maybe I'll find it at the bottom of this dream. I'm down on my knees, praying. I'm praying. Life, I embrace my death, desperate to breathe while still holding my breath. Driven to gain, I suffered loss, twisted in pride, I made swords of the cross. My grief for good robs free of the best, struggling for freedom. I gave up your rest. Oh, I'm looking for freedom, searching for leaves, looking for hope that can't be stripped from me. I'm looking for answers that keep escaping me. Oh, I'm down on my knees, down on my knees, I'm down on my knees, praying drunk. Oh, I'm praying drunk.
All right. Hey, welcome back to the Life Radio Show. We're still pressing forward. I'm your host, Don Smith, sitting in with my guest co-host, Erica Russell.
Pressing forward,
Pressing
Don.
forward.
You
We're
act as
gonna-
though it's difficult. You have two
No,
very
this
funny
is
ladies
so much
with you.
Fun. This is so much fun.
Yeah, this is Erica Russell, comedian.
Rena Calm is also in as our guest.
Hello. I came in with some zippity doodah birds, and I've really just been trying to lighten everybody's mood today.
It's worked. I feel.
Can I
feel
say
much
zippity doodah, or is that like a
I
trademark
think
thing?
that's. Oh, I mean, I thought you meant like an FCC thing.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
I
I'm
mean,
pretty
there's all
sure I
kinds
may have to edit that out later.
Okay.
But
Zippity
I think-
doodah means something different on the streets.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Go out and
actually-
score some zippity
It's a
doodah.
fairly
yeah.
obscure form of roofalin.
It's like a radio gang sign I just flashed.
We have a lot of those radio gang, especially on the Life. We're all about radio gang signs. We make up more of them, and nobody gets them, but it's okay.
Not very effective because no one can see them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I already
don't
got
even know
kind
what
of-
sign I'm giving right now.
I got kind of pressured last night here at Wiley's about my handshaking skills, and
I heard I caught some of that. Which,
I never got the guy's name, but he seemed very confident in his handshaking. Not just his handshaking, but also his everybody else's was bad, including mine. And
Wait, so he critiqued your handshake?
well, it's one thing to be like, this person has a weak handshake for sure. Like, let's shame them forever.
I think
but,
he critiqued everybody. So
Yeah.
he was a handshake critic.
Yeah, but then I was like, okay, like I'm ready. I think I have a pretty fine handshake. Let's give it a twirl, and
twirl.
and that's the one mistake you make is don't twirl it.
Right. That's
never
the sign
good.
of a bad handshake
Yeah,
when you
don't
give it a twirl.
But he went to shake my hand, and I went in for a handshake. As you know handshakes, right? One hand, the other
All
hand.
familiar. I think we're all familiar
Shake.
with it. Yeah.
He instantly went in for a fist bump, which okay,
That's
I
not
can't.
a handshake.
That's not a handshake, and also
even the Freemasons know that.
In unison, we said that. That's not a handshake.
daps. I mean, I approached him saying handshake. Like, I heard you're the guy to talk to about handshakes. Then he throws a fist bump at me. I'm like, okay, well, I already look like an idiot because I went to do a handshake and had to quickly maneuver into a fist bump. And
Well, that's a way to break your finger.
yeah, nobody looks cool in that moment. And then apparently he's like, okay, I'll give you a real one. And then it was like, okay, I don't.
With all the extra maneuvers.
He's
it
very
wasn't
cool.
just regular handshake.
Yeah, it was a very cool
wait,
handshake.
wait. Okay,
It was like,
I wasn't here. Okay, clearly you both were. I need some context for.
It was
who
like a
does
secret.
this person think they are? That they're like that? Are people waiting in line
No,
to
just
go up with a
hanging out.
handshake critic? Like,
I-
had he made it clear that this is a thing he does? Like, hey, I'm going to judge you by your
think
handshake.
That's all he
He's
did.
a critic, a handshake critic for the Times, I think. Is what, yeah,
I think,
yeah.
listen, if you say
It's not fair to throw a fist bump.
We are
when you
living-
signed up for a handshake, man.
Right.
we're living in a day and age where just if you are someone who, again, I don't know this man, but rude enough to critique something on a broad basis, be like, you know what I don't like when people do that. You know, if you are going to be so outspoken, it creates it creates a hierarchy for handshakes that didn't even exist before.
Hierarchy for handshakes.
People were just like having a fine time, and now
Right.
it's like, well, is my handshake good enough? Now
Yeah,
I have
and all
handshake
of a sudden-
insecurity.
Yeah.
Here's what I
handshake
think. I
envy.
think
It's
medium
all- yeah.
force, right?
Yeah.
Medium force in terms of the
Oh, don't do any
firmness,
soft
right?
touching. I will
Right.
slap
That's creepy.
you.
That's
yeah.
just creepy.
No soft touching. Thank you. Thank you. That's a very important
No
nuance.
palm tickling. Can I say
No,
palm
that-
tickling?
You don't tickle my palm.
That might
Don't
be
tickle my
pushing
palm.
it.
You want a medium firmness, 3 pumps tops. More than that, it seems desperate or something. It
We're
doesn't-
definitely talking about handshakes, right?
didn't even occur to me. Did not even.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to edit all this out now.
Yeah, just put up
When
a
it was just a
long-
handshake, we were fine. But now this is for college radio, and some of these students are just their brains are going to melt.
Yeah, but
You can
they're
just
college
introduce
students.
me
They
as
need to know how to give it.
Yep, handshake.
You need to know how to give a handshake.
Handshake, wink, wink.
Yeah, I'll say this. Whatever you are imagining, it ended with a snap, which I
What?
which I
What?
It did.
I hopped on board.
The
and
pullback and the snap.
The pullback,
That's-
and I
yeah.
got it. I matched it. I snapped. You know what I mean? I was like, I think I pulled that off.
But it still wasn't good enough.
it was
it?
definitely
Yeah,
not good
that was-
enough.
Yeah.
And you know what? The spoiler alert. I think it was good enough. But
I was there. You were right on it.
I mean, for somebody doing something for the first time, trying to look cool, I think I did.
I
just fine.
wasn't into the whole handshake competition, but I was a witness, and you did a fine job.
I think a fist bump is actually a good idea because it's better for germs and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
I think an elbow bump would even be better. Just
how about just a quick nod and then never talk to me again? I want to feel acknowledged and seen.
Right.
Do it from across the room. We met. And then
No
Yeah.
need for physical contact.
my favorite handshake is when I'm talking and holding a microphone and the audience laughs. Is that a good handshake? And then
that's the best one.
and then we don't
That's-
talk after.
Yeah, because every now and then you get the ones that think they need to talk afterward.
I mean, but what makes this person believe that they are the authority on handshaking, especially if they're going to throw you like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will and Jazz type thing that you're just
With a
supposed to
snap,
like pick
yeah.
up on? Like, yeah, I'm going to throw you for a loop here, man. I'm going to throw you a fist bump, going to do a snap, going to do a weird arm
Yeah.
thing. It's like, it's not like you'd been trained or indoctrinated.
Right,
It's not
right.
like you had a secret thing going on. So it's not a fair expectation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know the secret handshake.
Absolutely
That was-
not.
Yeah.
Get this guy back in here. Let's talk about it. No,
He's trying to. It's a form of negging. It is.
Yeah.
It's he's trying to make you question yourself and your handshaking skills.
I would say we could get him in here, but he'd be late. But then all the local comics would know exactly who I'm talking about.
fair. Yeah, that's the kind
That
of
is
confidence
terrible.
you get when you are. That's the kind of handshake confidence that you build up by not caring about being on time to stuff. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
It's
That is
handshake
definitely-
hubris.
definitely-
You got to have a really good handshake if you're going to roll in late. You
Right,
got to
right.
show up and like be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
well,
you have to have such a handshake that it makes people forget that you're 10 minutes late.
yeah." Actually, I'm 12 minutes late, but that's how good my handshake was. You thought it was 10. My handshake's so good, you think you're cool now. You're not. I insulted you. But that's...
I do. I will say we had a comic in at Go Bananas, and I will not name names, but said comic had 3 rules for interaction, which I think are dead wrong. The first one was always show up late. No.
No, that's not a good
Second one was always go over your time. No. No.
Wow.
The third one was never apologize. And so, like, I do think there are people out there who just, like, for me, I mean, I think that you do have to kind of uphold some standards of professional conduct if you want to be treated like a professional.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, to me, that's just your ego.
That's your
getting
ego
the
saying,
best
I'm
of
an
you and
artist and I'm
saying-
better than all of you.
Yeah.
And that's not being a
It's almost
professional.
intentionally, like, you know, just pushing the envelope of, I mean, it's.
I don't think
know,
stand-up is that much different than other jobs when it comes to how you should
No.
treat
It's not,
people.
man. You've got to act
And
like a professional.
My friend just had like a thing done at her office where they tried to determine like a psychological examination of like what is the best way to do business with her, like what's the best approach for when you're dealing with Dina. Her name's Dina. I love her. Hey Dina. Shout out. Okay.
Hey Dina.
She's not listening. But anyway, they were like she got back her results for the best way to interact with Dina, and I love this because I think everybody should do it. Is be bright, be brief, be gone. Isn't that just
bright
the best?
Meaning warm or smart?
I think just like bright. I think of like sunny,
Positive.
like yeah. All of those things though. Yeah, like be bright, be sharp, all that stuff. You know, be bright, be brief, and I think you have to be sharp to be brief. You have to make your point quickly, and then be gone. Always leave them wanting more. Right? That's a good showbiz.
I've said that forever. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So now we all know how to deal with the Dinas in our lives.
And
No, but
we
I love
know how
that
to deal
as
with the
just a
handshake
general
critics.
system for everything. Be bright, be brief, be gone.
Yes.
It's a good life system in general.
Sometimes brief isn't the best thing to be, but it all depends.
Well, with business, probably.
Right, with business,
With
yes.
business.
Yeah, that's
Well, with
straight to the
jokes
point,
too,
yeah.
Yeah.
We all
Oh,
do.
yeah,
We all
yeah.
do comedy here, so it's like
Get to
I don't
it.
know how much time I spend, trimming the fat from stuff that it's like,
Right.
What's the most succinct whiplash way that I can deliver this thought or idea? Like what can I cut that's just extraneous words?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually a lot.
Yeah, usually a lot.
Usually, most of what I say on stage could have probably been cut.
Yeah.
So many of them.
Well, it depends on style too, but for
I
the
did
most
like
part,
that.
I think that's the hardest thing to do. It's not the writing, it's the editing. It's,
Yeah.
taking a sword, just cutting off a lot of the stuff that you're like.
Well, that's one thing I love about stand-up comedy because I'm a writer, but I always hate to edit.
Yeah.
And with stand-up comedy, you have to. I learned more about editing, writing as a stand-up comic than I ever learned from any writing class I ever took.
Agreed.
Because you take a writing class, there may be a few people that read what you wrote, but you're up on stage, everybody's hearing what you're saying, and you're right there for their reaction, and that's
And what you're going for
is
is laughs per minute, right?
Right.
You're
Yeah.
going for laughs per minute at the end of the day. So it's like, as quickly as I can get from point A to point B, from premise to punch, that's more laughs per minute. The cleaner I can make this, the tighter I can make it.
I
the
think
better
it's funny when
performance I'm gonna
people get no laughs and don't realize that.
they don't realize.
It's like you actually don't need anybody to give you like notes or whatever. You just have to listen to the audience.
Did they laugh or not?
Yeah, and
You
some
can
people
hear it.
get
You're
no
there.
laughs. They have no idea that they're bombing.
The
It's
stage deafness. Yeah.
yeah, it's very funny.
Stage deafness.
That's
I've never
funny.
heard that phrase. That's so spot on. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, we have a lot, and
We have
Sunday
a lot.
comics is full of stage deafness.
Yeah. You're better off just taking a minute of silence and kind of pacing around, creating some tension, than you are talking too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ramble. I ramble when I'm uncomfortable. So things
We
get
all
weird.
do.
But usually I used to have like giveaways that you could like know if you knew me or whatever, that and when I knew if I said certain lines on stage that I have no idea what I'm going to say next because it's like all left my mind. And it used to be like I used to ask if people were drinking, and that means I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
And-
that's so typical though. Like there are times, look, even the best comic gets lost in the map of their set sometimes, right? Where you're just like, shoot, I forget which turn I take next, So
Last
I don't have
Saturday I was
but that's
doing a
part
show.
of writing for it, right? Is having those 2 or 3 things in your wheelhouse that it's like, all right, if I need to stall for a minute, this is going to be my crowd work bit that at least distracts people from the fact that I know I don't know where I'm going next and I need a minute to recover and find out where that is,
Well, even last
that's a part of
night's
good
set,
writing.
Like, I haven't been writing sets lately, which is either good or bad. I'm not sure. But yesterday, I have this one joke I usually do early in my set that kind of like paints like the rest of the set in a certain way. Like I do a lot of like callbacks to it, or it just changes some of my jokes to fit into that one part. I said about sleeping in Walmarts. It's the context for everything. And so if I've realized halfway through my set last night that I never did my Walmart stuff or mentioned sleeping in the car. And so I'm doing all of this editing throughout my set of being like, oh, well, that reference wouldn't make any sense now.
That happens to everyone. I love that you said that, though, because like I've had sets where I was like, oh, I totally missed my favorite 2 lines in my entire set.
I hate
You know what I
that.
mean? Because if you skip a step, right, and you end up not having the context for the thing that makes the whole joke work, then you're editing in real time. But that's also a part of this sport. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you can still pull off a really good set.
Oh, for sure. I just like callbacks are so great. And so, yeah, I just did Dusty Slay show and
I love Dusty Slay, dude. I
his
love that guy.
callbacks are insane. I mean, he's just so good. They're so like buried deep and like they're so good that they seem obvious, but you would never think of it. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, somebody needed to say that right now. And like obviously it's him as he's talking, but like his callbacks.
It lends a feeling of continuity to the whole set. You know what I mean? It keeps people paying attention too.
His callbacks also, I feel like if he missed one or something, like it would also still be fine.
Wouldn't be disastrous.
Yeah. But he probably doesn't because he's perfect.
But we all think the other one. You know what I mean? I don't think any comic, if you're any good, you still feel like crap about yourself even 10 years into doing this. You know what I mean? The humility is what keeps you funny.
Yeah.
I've seen comics who are really successful and at one point they lose their humility and guess what? They're not as funny anymore. You know what I mean? You always sort of have to carry some amount of healthy, if not self-doubt, then just like, I don't know, being able to put your ego in check because, any given night you could screw up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they caught me last Saturday. I went to do a show up at the Courtyard and I walked in. I thought I was doing 8 to 10. So I had 8 to 10 in here because I don't like notes. And they said, you do 15?
I hate that.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I guess. So I went and grabbed my notebook. So I'm pulling out stuff that I haven't done in a little while. And I actually blanked for about 30 seconds. But it's enough of that oh crap moment to try to figure out. And,
Yeah.
That's something that just drives me nuts when I do that. And it was something that I'm familiar with, but I tried a new line and the reaction from the audience threw me and I forgot where I was because I threw a new tag in there that I hadn't used before.
Yeah, it throws off your whole path. Yeah. My favorite is when they're like, hey, we're just waiting for somebody to show up. We'll just let you know when you're done. Like, we'll just let you know when you've got a couple minutes left.
No, that doesn't work for me,
and so
man.
you're like, I mean, I've had a few of those where you're like, I was planning on like 10, but I guess it could be up to 30 and... Yeah, it's never good to go over your time unless they ask you to. And you just hope that they don't. Good Lord.
You know what a weird, stupid thing that I did in terms of training yourself to feel time? So, like, if I was going to put a pizza in the oven, and I knew it was like 20 minutes, I'd put the pizza in, I'd set the time for 20 minutes, and I'd do my set. You know what I mean? Like, I would try to get as close to when the oven timer dinged to the material that I was doing,
I've never...
Because if you do that over and over again, especially it's like I can feel 10, and then I can look at the oven clock and see, but so now, in other words, I can just cook things without even setting a timer.
Nice. Yeah, you can start something in the oven, tell your jokes. And
You do learn how to feel time. It's very weird.
I've tried really hard to record myself for measuring time and stuff like that, doing my bits, but I've never been able to just do my comedy by myself, to say my stuff. I just never have. I always I start recording it and then I mess up the words. I'm like, oh, forget it. And then I get distracted and I'm talking about something else all of a sudden. Yeah. And
well, it's so hard because you have to learn how to feel the time because you don't know how much time the laughs are going to take up.
Right. Yeah, as far as practicing, I do in my car a lot. I
do in my car all the time.
And of course, I get kind of aggressive and angry when I'm doing my set, and I was on my way to a show, and I'm going over my set, and I get to the show, and Joe Robinette's one of the local comics. He shows up, and he's like, "I'm sorry." I said, "What are you talking about, Joe?" He passed me on the highway, and
he thought you were pissing
I was
him?
cussing at him. He thought I was screaming and yelling at him. I was like, I was just going over my set, dude.
Oh, that's
You know, I know a lot of other comics that's exactly how I practice. For some reason, in my car, it's like the only way that it works for me. If I'm just trying to like get the words down and really, develop a new thing. But like, I've seen people in other cars because I look like I'm talking to myself, very emphatically, very emotionally. And so, like, sometimes you'll just accidentally make eye contact with the driver next to you who's looking at you like, what's wrong with you? But then my go-to is I just put my finger up to my ear like it's a Bluetooth.
There you go.
Like it's like I'm on a really important Bluetooth
I'm
call.
sorry. Time out, because you do know that in a car you don't need to wear a Bluetooth thing. Like,
No,
you
I
can
don't.
just
I know
talk.
nothing about technology
You
at all.
can easily be on the phone. He might be looking at you, but like
mine connects right to my
yeah,
stereo, so.
I'm talking all the time to like it looks
What
like
kind
myself.
of fancy
but-
futuristic cars do you guys have? I have
It's
an 05 Ford Escape, dude.
Okay, yeah.
05 Ford Escape. I got to put my finger up to my ear and people are like, oh, she's a very important businesswoman on a business call.
You could just like have the air about you that you're on the phone and then they would, you know what I mean? They probably think you are on the phone before they think you're talking to yourself. And then you start picking your ear is probably what they're thinking.
That is gross. She's on the phone and picking her ear.
I've never really done, I'm like, I'll work out like, because you never know like which like little lines you can just say in a different tone and it switches everything. So sometimes I'll practice like little stuff like that in the car. I like listen
what's
to
your
recordings
process like?
Sometimes I listen to my stuff, but I just wanted to say that my favorite thing when it comes to like what people driving by must think is the occasional time that I've done a face mask in the car, because that is funny. Having you look like a very scary Michael Myers. And yeah. That's the guy's name, right? Michael Myers?
Yes.
All I can think of is whatever happened to Mike Myers. Anyway, he's difficult to work with, I think, is what everybody...
I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I say Shrek on here?
I may have to bleep that out.
Okay. What the Shrek? Yeah. Sorry, that doesn't answer about my process, but it does make me very
roll down
happy.
your window like, I'm a clown, but I haven't done all the makeup yet.
Yeah, I have this one face mask that's like pink and it looks like plastic and it lays over and I know I look like a nightmare and it makes me so happy. Like it makes me so. That's the best way to deal with your worry lines is just freak people out and you smile. And it fixes
That
it.
would be a terrifying prospect to think about. Like, you're stopped
Especially
at a
driving
traffic
at
light and
night,
you look
yeah.
over and it's just somebody.
Because that person's not talking, you can't move your face. So you're just like silently wearing a weird mask with little eye slits. And it's very like the mask from Vanilla Sky. Tom
every
Cruise.
now and then you just got to look over and wave with your pinky.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Yeah, I don't know. My process I'm working on. That's part of it, I guess. I don't know. It's that Mitch Hedberg process, right? Of like, if I think of something funny, I have to write it down. And if I can't find a pen, I have to convince myself it wasn't that funny.
Yeah.
Just try to write down anytime I think of something. And I think from doing improv for a long time, I think some of my favorite punchlines have happened just on stage of like, and I'm not a crowd work person, but I don't know.
But the spontaneity of that and the adrenaline rush sometimes.
Yeah. And then just
Things
trying
come
to
out of your brain that wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah. Trying to like recreate it and stuff. I definitely will have like ideas while I'm driving about running order and things like that, like new things to try. But yeah, I've been weird about writing sets lately. I will look over notes, but that means nothing. That means nothing for what's about to happen usually, or I usually know exactly how I want to start or exactly how I want to finish. Usually my set writing process right now is just deciding if I am or am not going to go into the abortion stuff, like trying to read the room or like, I'll usually just do it. But I had one this last week on Thursday, actually, that she told me no political stuff. And I'm like, I mean, I really don't talk politics. Like,
It's hard to figure out if that kind of subject matter fits into the purview of political.
yeah. And I'm like, and I told her, I'm like, I really don't do politics. I feel like whether you like him or you don't, you had to talk about Trump for a while after the election, but I feel like now, even if you just say the name Trump,
amen,
whether you like him or not, people are like agitated.
People get enough of it, man.
Yeah.
They get enough of it. Like, I don't do politics. I don't even do a lot of sexual stuff. Just because I feel like both are such well-trod, it's just so many people are doing material about that stuff. And like people come here to take a break from their lives. Like it's such a extremely divided country right now. It's like we don't need more of that when we go to the comedy club. We just want to hear good stories. We want to all laugh together. You're having a good set when like the super staunch conservative retired firefighter is laughing at the same joke as the 19-year-old who just snuck in from the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like that's the point of this. And I just feel like political jokes now are, I don't know, I don't do them.
Well, also for me, I get like uncomfortable when I know I'm performing for Trump supporters because they don't deserve to laugh. But I missed that joke.
Or they don't know how.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, too.
But the abortion stuff, it's like
they'll laugh at like an old lady falling down the stairs or something like that. But,
yeah. Well, that's actually funny you bring it up. It's funny you bring it up like that because, okay, one of the ways that I've worked on talking about abortion anywhere is, and it's not political. I mean, it's like talks about sex and stuff like that, but it's more about like you drive past all these freaking billboards about it, and it's like, give me a break. Like somebody can bring it up in the middle of the highway, but I can't bring it up in the middle of this hour of me talking. Really good point. It is a good point. So my angle on it is about these billboards and how they drive me crazy, and about how the people that love billboards love guns and hate abortions, and it's pretty funny. Only one of those things is killing children. Anyway, that's too dark for comedy.
That's very
But the way I
smart.
get
love
into
that.
it, thank you, but the way I get into it is actually, as you said, old people falling is funny because I bring up how people get so upset about the word abortion now, which is like, it's the abortion portion of the word that does it.
I call it a Plan Z.
Plan Z. But I bring up the songs by Sum 41, Fat Lip, that song that's like dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. One of the lyrics in that song is like, we laugh when old people fall, right? And then I don't say that, but it's funny.
The doctor said my mom
should have had an abortion. Abortion. And they say it like 8 times. Anyway, so I just bring up how I'm like, well, that song was popular, so how come I can't say it? That was like 20 years ago.
That's a really good point.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see your stuff.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if we'll get into... I also don't want to get like featuring. I try not to like go all the way there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like
it just depends on the room.
It depends on the room. I just feel like when it comes to edgy stuff, like the show should get progressively edgier. So by the time the headliner gets on stage, it's going to be like a lot of shock value still, especially with like the headliner I'm working with now. Like he's dirty is like his whole thing. So like I have a lot of dirty stuff, but I kind of pump the brakes on mine a little bit to keep it in tune with his, but leaving some of his like shock factor for him.
Yep.
So if I like blow everybody's minds and talk about how dumb sperm is, and all that stuff, I don't know. Not that I would, but
there's always an intelligent way to do dirty stuff too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of pride in my dick jokes. I think they're very clever.
That's a proper name. We can accept that.
Can I say that? Sorry.
You're good.
She means Dick Clark. All of the good jokes about Dick Clark.
The political jokes, Richard Nixon. Yeah,
I said dock jokes. I'm a fisherman.
No, but it's that's a really interesting point because it does depend on the context, who you're opening for. Whether that's a comic who works clean, a comic who works blue. You kind of want to try to match tone and set them up for success depending on where you are in the set. In the show, rather.
Well, when hosting this weekend, that's very toned down for me. Usually when I get on stage, I'm extremely angry and fired up and aggressive. Can't really do that as a host as much.
Right.
Because it puts people off if there's just some fat bearded guy yelling at them right off the bat.
You've lost a lot of weight.
The beard's still there. So
Yeah.
Hosting is the hardest spot.
Anger is also a really tough gimmick to use in comedy because
well, mine comes naturally.
That's not my question.
I don't use it. I don't use any enhancing any.
But as soon as it
enhancements or
crosses into like, and this is like advice from like Joan Rivers, but like you should never let the anger win. Like it still has to be coming from that comedy place because you know, and obviously like you're in it because you love comedy, and I can tell from like the few times I've seen you, or even just talking to you, but. Like there was a guy I remember in Chicago who had like a meltdown on stage, and this is not a new bit. It's like an old bit, like yelling about paper towel dispensers and napkin holders at restaurants, and just like really just went into it, got like livid.
It doesn't sound like the emotion matches the content in that case. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but even still, the lesson there was just kind of like, he's like, you know, he said at the end of his set, he's like Joan Rivers told me, you know, never let the anger win. And it's, I mean, some people like Lewis Black, right?
I was just going to say Lewis Black.
Right.
He makes an art out of anger.
Exactly.
He does 52 different shades of anger.
And it's funny the whole time. And he's like, like the angrier he is, like the funnier it is somehow. And like stuff like that. So yeah, like what tone down, whatever it was, like you don't come across as like an angry person, especially like, you know, last night or right now or whatever. And I would love to see you do like a cartoonish angry thing. And
have we all seen Bill Burr just eviscerate that Philadelphia crowd?
Yes. I saw that.
That was one example. It's like, I completely agree with that as a general rule. It's like the exceptions stick out because they are so exceptional. Most of the time, if somebody is, you know, just letting the anger win, it doesn't read well. But those are the two exceptions I would make. Like Bill Burr because at first it wasn't going well, man, but he just doubled down on it. He wore them down for 12 minutes, just berating this crowd. Yeah. And he did a countdown. And at first it was not working, man, but he was just like, I am sticking with this. I'm going to go harder.
That was powerful.
For a different reason,
yeah.
I heard something about Bill Burr recently that I'm like still thinking about a lot because I loved his last special. I think he's wonderful. And I think his special did a really good job of like sprinkling in some like smarter, maybe more woke ideas and like wisdom like behind all the, you know, the punchlines about like how women are annoying and things like that. And yes, we are. Okay, great. But like he did a lot of like he knows how to like get people on his side and all that stuff. And it seemed like the tactic was to get everybody and every man and every whatever laughing to be able to sneak in these really smart ideas. Same with like, you know,
I got a Bill Burr story.
Well, I haven't seen him perform live, but somebody told me they went to see him in a place that was like a very like red state type of place, and that it really seemed like his audience was just like a sea of like, you know, I don't know, less of an audience, more of a rally, if that makes sense. And that he was not saying any of the smart things he was saying in his special, that he knows how to make his money. And so
here's my Bill Burr story. Oh, sorry, I'll be quick. But
because we're out.
Are we on time?
We're about out of time. But
all
go
right,
right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I went to see Bill Burr do a workout set at the Steve Allen Theater. This is probably 2015, 2016. He was going on at midnight. You know, he was trying on new stuff. It was in preparation for filming a special. And I think at the time he was going through a divorce. He was just clearly very mad at everything. And it was exactly like you're saying. It was usually what you count on Bill for is, you know, I don't go to a Burr show and expect political correctness by any means, right? But usually what he's so good at is having his cake and eating it too. He'll start off with the more sort of bigoted viewpoint, then he'll manage to pivot and come around to the right side of the argument in this really clever, unexpected way that usually involves a lot of misdirection, and that's why he's such a good writer. But this night he was just mad. He was mad, he was tired, you could tell. But what I didn't like is he got to one point where the audience wasn't having it. I mean, it was crickets, and you don't see that with Bill Burr. It was that. He was like, women should just make us sandwiches. Why don't women just make us sandwiches? That's all you got to do. Make us a sandwich. I mean, but it didn't go anywhere. It didn't, there was no clever hook. And so no one was having it. And he goes, He goes, some feminist blogger is going to go home and blog about, oh, Bill Burr sucks. Oh, I dare you. Go home, feminist blogger. Blog about how much Bill Burr sucks. And I don't like that, man, because that's a defensive insurance policy because he knows he sucked. And instead of owning it, he's trying to sort of threaten, you know what I mean?
Ooh,
so I
yeah.
obliged the man. I just went on Facebook and I bookended it with very nice things about Bill Burr, which I still believe. I said, Bill Burr, one of the greatest comedy writers, one of the greatest comics I've ever met. But last night, he dared us to all go on and say how much his set sucked. And the next day on his podcast, on his own podcast, he was like, I had the worst set of my life last night, dude. Worst set of my life. So he knew. Yeah. But so I was just like, it's like, I said, it's like he never even thought that maybe there were women in the audience who looked up to him as a hero. It's like he never even thought of writing toward them. And I was like, again, I think Bill Burr is amazing, but if he's going to dare me to get online and talk about how much he sucked, I am simply obliging the man. So I get all this flack, right? And I'm living in LA at the time, and these people start texting me how dare you talk S about Bill Burr or whatever? And I was like, I'm an audience member, man. I can say whatever I want. Then I get a call from an 818 area code, and it goes, why do you hate Bill Burr? I'm like, who is this? He's like, this is his agent. I was like, how'd you get this number, dude? I'm nobody. Why do you even care what I have to say? And he's like, well, we heard you said something about Bill. I was like, who's we? And then I swear, Bill Burr takes the phone. It's Bill Burr. They're at some Santa Barbara casino, hammered. And he goes, why do you hate me? It broke my heart because he really was sad about it. And I was like, I don't hate you. If you read the post, I said, I adored you, but this was crap and you knew it. And he started laughing. I was like, why do you care what I think? And he's like, because you're hot. I was like, all right, Bill. All right. But anyway, that was my Bill Burr story.
All right. As much as I hate to do it, we're going to have to wrap it up. In fact, I'm probably going to have to edit some of this stuff out. So if you guys want to cuss, say it now because I'm going to edit this whole part. Nothing? No? Okay.
I mean, I'm a Carlin routine comes to mind here.
Yeah, but you whispered it. Okay. Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here, and we're done.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Word. Thanks for listening to the Life Radio Show podcast. Check it out wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, if you want to listen live, we are on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. on WWSU 106.9 FM. You can also stream the show live at WWSU1069.org, and we go Facebook Live at the Life Radio Show's Facebook page. If you have suggestions or comments, feel free to email thelife1069@gmail.com.
Presence overwhelms me. The brutal presence overwhelms me.
People love boobs.